This is the story of Festool, a 100-year-old German tool company that inspires the kind of loyalty most religions would envy, and the dark, messy, sometimes absurd history hiding behind that signature green logo. Festool. Say the name in any woodworking forum, any job site, any YouTube comment section, and you'll get one of two reactions. Either someone's eyes light up like you just mentioned their firstborn child, or they roll so hard you can hear it. There's no middle ground with brands like Mafel or Makita, but Festool. That's exactly what makes this story worth telling. Let's go back to where it all started. Germany, 1925. The economy was in ruins. Just 2 years earlier, a loaf of bread in Berlin cost 200 billion marks. People were literally paying for groceries with 100 trillion mark banknotes. Into this chaos walked two men, Gottlieb Stoll and Albert Fezer. They founded a small company called Fezer and Stoll in Wendlingen with a modest mission: repair stationary woodworking machines, fix what's broken, keep the shops running. They didn't stay modest for long. By 1927, just 2 years in, they manufactured the world's first portable chainsaw. Think about that for a second. In an era when men were still felling trees by hand with axes and crosscut saws, these two guys in a small German workshop built a gas-powered chainsaw you could actually carry. They designed it with the blade rotating independently of the motor, because even in 1927, they were obsessing over how a tool feels in your hands. That obsession would define this company for the next century. Albert Fezer left the company at the start of the 1930s. Barbara Stoll, the current chair of the supervisory board and Gottlieb Stoll's granddaughter, says her grandfather simply continued working alone with his team. In 1933, the name shortened to Festo, and the innovations kept rolling. By 1938, they had the BD 125 portable circular saw, which became wildly popular. That same year brought the MTD and KTD disc sanders, the first sanding machines in the world, with patented integral dust extraction. Dust extraction in 1938. This detail matters because it plants the seed for something that would become almost a religious obsession among Festool owners decades later. Now, here's where the company starts stacking up firsts like cordwood. 1951 brought the first orbital sander, a revolution in surface finishing. 1962 saw the first guide rail. 1964 delivered the world's first combination circular saw and guide rail system, what would eventually become their legendary TS-55 track saw. 1966 introduced the first orbital sander with dust extraction. 1976 brought the eccentric sander with integrated dust extraction. 1984 gave us the Rotex RO150, the first geared eccentric sander. Every few years, another world first, another patent. They now hold more than 350 patents. But here's the thing about Festool that truly sets them apart and simultaneously drives people absolutely crazy. It's not just the tools. It's the system. CEO Sascha Menges puts it perfectly. Once you've had a tool from us in your hands, you can't get away from Festool. He says it with pride. Critics hear something else entirely. In 1993, they introduced the Sustainer, a modular interlocking storage container produced by their sister company, Thanos. Every Festool tool comes in one. They stack together, click into place. Your power cords fit across different tools. Your dust collection hoses from their CT36 dust extractor work across the entire lineup. Once you buy one Festool tool, the second one makes more sense. The third makes even more sense. Before you know it, your entire workshop becomes a wall of green and black interlocking boxes, and you can't leave, even if you wanted to. This is System Lock-In, and it's by design. In 2000, the power tool division officially became Festool. complete with that signature green logo that's loved and hated around the world. The cult was ready to recruit. The Festool Owners Group, known as FOG, became one of the most active online tool communities anywhere. Thousands of members, passionate discussions, genuine expertise shared freely. It was the kind of grassroots community that most brands would kill for, until Festool nearly killed it themselves. In 2008, Festool's legal team sent a letter to the FOG forum owner regarding the domain name festoolownersgroup.com. They wanted it. The forum's founder was stunned. He wrote, "It never occurred to me that the Festool Owners Group could ever be accused of ill will towards Festool." He shut the forum down rather than hand over the domain. The backlash was immediate and fierce. One commenter called it, "In this history of boneheaded moves, this will go down in infamy." Festool had aimed their legal guns at their most devoted fans, the very people who evangelized the brand for free, who convinced co-workers on job sites to spend $400 on an oscillating saw. The controversy was eventually resolved, the forum came back, and it is still active today. But it revealed something important about the relationship between Festool and its followers. Love, in this case, does not mean the company will always love you back. Then came the acquisition that sent shockwaves through the woodworking world. In June 2017, TTS Tool Technic Systems, Festool's parent company, acquired SawStop. For those unfamiliar, SawStop is the company founded by Dr. Stephen Gass that makes table saws capable of stopping a spinning blade within 5 milliseconds of detecting skin contact. The technology has documented thousands of saved fingers. The fear was immediate. People worried that Festool pricing would infect SawStop. One commenter put it bluntly, "People complain about SawStop prices now. Just wait until the Festool pricing comes in." Others argued it would have been better for everyone if DeWalt or Bosch Power Tools had bought SawStop and licensed the technology at a reasonable price. The result of that acquisition is now real and tangible. The Festool TKS-80, a portable table saw with SawStop AM technology, launched in Europe. A cartridge fires an aluminum block into the blade if it contacts skin. The blade stops. You get a scratch instead of losing a finger. 16 people are injured on circular saws every single working day in Germany alone. This technology matters. But at Festool prices, the question lingers: who gets to be safe? That question sits at the heart of the Festool controversy. Critics hear a company that charges $300 for a drill, locks you into proprietary systems, and then has the audacity to suggest it's all for your benefit. Festool manufactures around 80% of their machines in Germany, with additional production in the Czech Republic. They offer a 3-year warranty that covers wear parts and even theft. They guarantee spare parts availability for 10 years. They offer a 30-day money-back guarantee, no questions asked. These are genuinely remarkable commitments. But then you learn that in Australia, the belt sander uses a different length belt than the European model, seemingly to lock Australian buyers into Festool-specific consumables. You learn about the 2025 tariff-related price increases hitting North American customers. You learn that the upcoming cordless domino joiner, announced in February 2026, will retail for $1,779 for a single joinery tool. And yet, the domino patent expires in 2027. Competitors are circling. Festool owners aren't flinching, because that's what a cult does. It doesn't just sell you a product, it sells you an identity. Festool owners don't just own tools, they own the best tools. They have the cleanest shops because of dust extraction. They have the most organized workshops because of sustainers. They're part of a century-long lineage of German engineering that stretches back to a small repair shop in a country where bread costs 200 billion marks. Is Festool worth it? For a professional whose domino pays for itself on the first job, absolutely. For a weekend hobbyist who works in their garage once a month, almost certainly not. But that's the wrong question. The right question is, why does a power tool company inspire this level of devotion, this level of argument, this level of identity? The answer is 100 years in the making, and it's painted green.